Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Kia ora te whare. Really, really fantastic to hear that we're all so strong, but actually it means nothing if we don't have this stuff, the water. So I want to just talk a little bit about two ministers today in my general debate speech. One minister said last week that we need to clean up water, that we can clean up water, and the way to do it is to reduce agricultural intensification and cut nitrogen. And the other minister, the Minister of Primary Production, is opposing the Green Call for Moratorium and supporting more pollution of water by allowing the conversion of the farms in the upper Taupo Waikato area. So all of this wonderful blah, blah, blah Workers' Party korero that we've just heard from the National Party, how they support the workers, they're fabulous with the farmers, they're saving tourism, it's all great. It's all pretty meaningless when 60% of our rivers are too polluted to swim in. I'm not even talking about drink or gather kai. I'm talking about swim in. And when we get a strategy, the Minister for the Environment quite rightly went to Taupo last week and congratulated them. Excellent work is happening around Taupo to reduce the pollution of that lake. It's long-term work because it takes many years to create an environmental disaster like this one, but there is good work going on. They are actually persuading farmers to reduce stock numbers. Critical if you actually want to save the lake. So it's really, really important to listen to the Minister for the Environment. I just wish that Nathan Guy would do that. But on the one hand, the Minister's saying, let's clean up the water, and these are the strategies. Nick Smith said last week that chemical caps could work for other lakes, and we are talking about the lakes that turn pink during last summer, the hydro lakes that turn pink. But unfortunately, Nathan Guy can't hear him. Nick Smith is saying we need nitrogen caps, that in order to protect the waterways, we really need to reduce animal numbers, and that means buying up farms to help transition away from dairy, read my lips, and actually set caps that limit the number of animals people can have on their farms. He said if the plan can work for Taupo, it can work for the rest of the country. Well, what about just up the road? What about if you drive from Taupo just up the road and we find ourselves in the territory of Tūwharetoa, in the headwaters of the hydro lakes and the Waikato River? If we do that, we see a totally different story. This government, through their state farmer, is promoting one of the worst environmental disasters this country has seen in a long time. They are converting forestry, which is a carbon sink, and I'm not a fan for the way that many pine forests are managed, but at least they store carbon. They're cutting them down, 1 tree a minute, this government farmer, in order to create a new dairy farm, which by 2020 will have, according to its owner, Wairaki Pastoral, for whom Landcorp, the government farmer, manages it, 43,000 more cows with their waste going into the hydro lakes and the rivers. So we're already spending $210 million trying to clean up the Waikato River. We've got a solution at Lake Taupo, but instead of applying that, the government's going to allow 43,000 more cows in that catchment. And it's not about planting and fencing. It's great when people plant and fence waterways. It's about stopping the numbers of the animals on the land. The Minister for the Environment nailed it in Taupo, but they're denying it just down the road at the top of the Waikato River. This is an environmental disaster that's going to cost us as a nation, just as Rotorua and Taupo are costing us now. We're creating a new one. This government's creating a new environmental disaster from a climate perspective and from a water perspective. And the farmers downstream are screaming because they're trying to live within their nitrogen limits, while meanwhile the government farmer, who is going to help to produce more methane, is undermining the very thing that keeps our entire life force and economy alive, water. Without clean water, there is no tourism, there is no economy, there's no wine industry, there's none of the things that the government's trumpeting about. And if we can't look after water, we've got nothing. It's very obvious that the government knows what the solution is but won't do it. So clearly the Minister for the Environment knows the answer, but the Minister for Primary Production will not listen. 8,102 people called for this to happen through our petition for a moratorium, and at the moment still Nathan Guy just can't hear, which is going to cost us a great deal in terms of water quality.
The time for this debate has expired. I call on members' order of the day number 1.